Hi everyone, Pastor Doug from the Family of Faith Lutheran Church here in Houston, Texas and Cypress, Texas. We have 2 locations, 2 worship ministry settings, including our early child education and care at both locations. And we want to learn to speak a special language. Now at the seminary, they had us learn Greek and Hebrew so we could read the Bible in its original text. That's very helpful for sure. But today, the language that surrounds us here at the Family of Faith is the language of modern mom. We have 2 experts with us today on modern mom.
Hi, my name is Valerie Byerly, and I have 2 boys, a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I am currently the administrative assistant for Family of Faith.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Ann?
I'm Vivian Mueller. I am the Director of Business Operations here at the Family of Faith, and I have 2 sons. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Fantastic. Great to have Valerie and Vivian here with us. And we want to break down the topic of modern mom into 2 big chunks. One being communicating with things that are not electronic, and then 2, communicating with things that are social media, websites, the like. So let's start with things that are not electronic. What kind of things, Valerie, would be of help to communicating with mom in this more face-to-face, hands-on type of world?
I think face-to-face interaction, the mixers for the parents, the jingle and mingle that we recently had, any type of family-oriented events that we can have, I think will benefit us.
All right, so let's just review that. Face-to-face interactions, meaning intentional social activities where moms can meet new moms. And you mentioned Mingle and Jingle, which was an activity that we sponsored here where we actually bought mom a glass of wine or an adult beverage and had some snack food, and she and her significant other or her husband could come in and have an evening. And then we supplied childcare at our preschool while this kind of interaction was happening. That's the mingle that we were talking about.
Yes.
And that was helpful. Okay, what do you think, Vivian? What would be something not the electronics, but something more tangible?
I think having children's church here at the church is a great way to organically meet. And like Valerie said, the jingle and mingles, or other events we've had in the past, preschool events that have integrated with the church, like our fundraisers that we've had in the past, family dance night. Those are great ways for all the parents to get to know each other a little bit more.
Excellent. Excellent ideas. So let's say a mom comes to our campus. Let's just assume that she's interested. What kind of things would a modern mom want to see when she visits our campus?
For me, when I go to a new campus, I look around to see the lighting. Is it dark? Is it bright? What does my surrounding look like? Is it clean? Are there paintings on the wall? Are there pictures of children? Are there other families there? I look at if I am being greeted right away, and if there are other people that look like me.
All right. Well, I think that last one was really important. You're looking for other people like you, and the environment being a welcoming environment. What do you think, Vivian?
I definitely agree with Valerie. I also think it's immediate when you walk in. You'll know from how bright it is, the colors of the walls, the lighting, how light it is, and is it warm and welcoming? Do you have a spot for young children to go to, or are there other moms there, other children there? And I definitely do think it is also how you are being greeted too.
Excellent. I think it's helpful because we have you 2 ladies, and when a mom is greeted by you, they're greeted by someone similar to them. And I think that makes a big difference too. So many of those activities that you just mentioned are certainly supported here by yourselves. What about the physical property type of things that we want to make sure mom feels she's welcome? What would welcome her? What kind of things could we do in the building in addition to the physical person saying hello and the lighting? Anything else come to mind?
Anything come to
parking lot.
Oh, well, you said in the building. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But I definitely have a suggestion for
Okay.
the parking lot. If a mother, let's just say she's pregnant and she already has children, I think it would benefit the church if there was a special parking spot for expecting mothers. I think it would greatly be appreciated.
Someone thought of her,
Right.
and it's evident right away by the building
Yes.
that she, in her time of life, has been considered, even in the parking lot.
Yes.
Great idea. What do you think? Any in the building or parking lot things that we could do to show Mom that we love her?
Yeah, definitely. I think just having the room for children to go to during service, just having that space. Here we have a nice one with toys, books, a changing table. That right there shows that you care about moms who are trying to bring in their children. Because I know I'll bring in my sons, but we usually make it about 20 or 30 minutes until we have to go into that room.
Right. And the room, though, has glass all around it. It's in the sanctuary, and it has a changing table, gliding chairs, things that moms need, and hopefully all that. And of course, it's not just Mom taking care of the kids, but it is also very important to Mom that the children are cared for, and her needs as a caregiver to children are thought of ahead of time. And that she's thought of, her convenience and her just things that she needs to do her vocation as mom. Good ideas. I want to shift here from tangible things like parking lots, bathrooms, cry rooms, the decor, the lighting, to electronic things. It seems like one of the differences between mid-century moms, like in the 40s and 50s, and moms today is that there's all these internet access points. One, is it important? Do you think it really is important? Do moms really need that? And then two, which platform should we use? And then what should we put on that platform? And how often should we put it on that platform? Those are basic questions. What do you think, Valerie, to the idea of social media? Do we need it?
Yes, it is a necessity because that is how moms get their information. Where's the closest preschool? Where's the closest church? My children have a fever. What do you do when your child has a fever? So it's definitely a give and take on social media. I think every single platform is needed because just because someone uses Facebook doesn't mean that they use Instagram. And then sometimes they don't even use Instagram or Facebook. They're using Snapchat
Right.
and Twitter.
Right. And for yourself, if you had to pick one, maybe two, what would you pick as your primary social media outlet?
Mine are Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, those are your two
Yes.
favorites. And I like what you said also. I mean, I like all the things you said, but specifically that you might even use the internet and the social media to talk about mom care needs, like, oh, my child has a temperature, looking for counsel as you're doing life. And I'm imagining there could be quite a few questions. So rapport it wouldn't just be a one-time billboard type of thing. There's an interaction, an ongoing interaction.
Yes.
Thank you. What do you think? Do we need it? Is it really necessary for church to support social media and websites and all this stuff? And if so, what do you suggest?
I do think that we need it. Actually, even as we've learned through COVID, it's helped us be able to serve our members by us being able to watch service online when we weren't able to come in person. And that's another way for moms now to be able to connect, because if they can't make it to church, if their child is sick, they're able to watch it on social media or see little clips of it. And I think that, like Valerie said, all of it, all social media platforms are definitely important. For me right now, I can't think of the name.
TikTok?
TikTok,
okay,
yeah.
right. All right.
That's a fun one that I like because there's a lot of moms on there, and it's a way for us to connect to other moms and see that they're going through the same things that we are. And social media can also be sort of dark, so having a good church outlet on social media can be the light in the dark as well.
I love that last part for sure. Isaiah 60 verses 1-6 was our text for our devotions today, and it talks all about the light of the gospel that is presented. And here we are a day before Epiphany, which is January 6th, talking about the light of Christ, just like the Magi were led by that star. So we need light in our life too. Moms need it, right? Caring for children could be frustrating. Children I know don't always do what they're asked. They don't always, they're not always well. They don't always go to sleep on time. And this, of course, takes energy from mom.
Yes.
And, of course, there are other relations, too, that take energy. So you're looking for partners online, looking for people who have compassion for you. So the last part of this, we talked about non-electronic parts and electronic parts. They need to go together for a place that cares. We care about mom is what we need to communicate. And we need to constantly support that. Now, people like myself, a pastor-like person, in this particular denomination, we're the last person that knows what it is to talk modern mom. So what, if we were trying to convince a pastor to talk modern mom, what would you suggest that pastor would need to know? What do you think, Valerie?
Communication,
Okay.
speaking to them directly, because I know there's so many times where the pastors don't even know the moms.
Okay.
And if that communication was present, by listening, you will hear the needs of the moms and what is needed.
So let's not let modern moms be invisible.
No.
You need to recognize them, acknowledge them, engage in a conversation with them. Even though you're quite a different person, you and I are quite different by age and various other factors, right? But we need to share life together and sharing time and finding common interest, especially the interest of care of the children and your family and your own well-being, your own walk in Christ. Last thing you want to do is have mom be invisible. And somehow ignore her presence. Okay, good advice. What do you think, Vivian?
I think understanding leads to compassion, and I think that when you start to understand moms and their struggles and what they're going through, will really help pastors feel compassion for moms and build a better connection. And I think everything that you're doing by talking to us and wanting to talk to moms and learn what is the need, how to speak to moms is, a really big step. So I think exactly what you're doing.
Well, I'm glad to have you as teammates on this. I am blessed to have 36 such teammates around me here at the Family of Faith, as we have a large preschool and many helpers there, 90% of whom are in similar time of life. And so I have a lot of help. And I think that's what pastors need. And we need to be willing to receive the help, right? That there are some things we can help with that we're more expert in. And there's some things we just aren't. And we need to go find assistance. And thank you for sharing your assistance with our group here today. Thank you for taking time to listen to our presentation. God's blessings to you. Welcome, everyone. Pastor Doug here at the Family of Faith Lutheran Church, and we're learning how to speak modern mom. And we're inviting you to learn this language as well. And with me is an expert in speaking modern mom, our site director, Miss Emily. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself a little better than that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Whitehead. I'm the site director here at the Family of Faith Preschool. I'm also a mom, though, of a beautiful little girl named Ellie, and she's 6 years old.
Fantastic. And now, what physical things, whether it's be a welcome or the carpet, I don't know, what are those things that you found important and that attracted your interest?
I think the physical aspect of just being welcomed by the members, it's scary going into a new church family, but as soon as you walk in and you're greeted, and my daughter is greeted, that's something that's extremely important to me. Because like I said, especially for a little 6-year-old who doesn't know anybody, it can be overwhelming. So I believe that physically speaking to people is a huge positive for me.
Excellent. So what I heard, and let's just review what you just said, there's some fear. Some people call it the threshold fear or threshold phobia. And let's talk a little bit more about what a modern mom would be afraid of. What We think we're pretty nice people in here, but out there coming into the church for the first time, what more specifically are the fears that were your concerns?
Well, just the anxiety of meeting new people, and not knowing what they'll think about a single mom coming into a brand new church and not knowing anybody. A lot of modern moms, I would say, have that aspect of not really speaking a lot in person. They're used to speaking over the internet or texting. And so when you physically go into a new place, it's scary sometimes, and it can be overwhelming.
Excellent point. So I'm understanding that one of the things church needs to understand when communicating with modern mom is that direct face-to-face communication is not as it used to be 30, 40 years ago.
Right, exactly.
It has a whole nother higher level of impact, and there's a preparation for it that comes with some form of social anxiety. I'm just wondering if maybe all this COVID stuff.
I was actually about to say, for the past 2 years, we've been used to being cramped up and, hidden in our houses because of COVID, especially as a parent. I'm terrified for my child to get sick from anything, let alone COVID. And so for us to be able to actually step out of our comfort zones and be physically present, that's a huge deal.
I also heard in your comments a little bit of shadowing between your daughter and yourself. So your daughter, you're concerned for her, you're thinking about her and the concerns that she might have as she walks in. Is she going to be welcomed? Is she going to have things to not just occupy herself, but to actually help her in her faith development? Does the church think about my child? And how do they welcome her?
Right,
and then
right.
She has anxieties about what am I going to find? And you have a parallel set on an adult level. So we have two anxious people as you're coming in the door and having a great welcome, a warm welcome, having a facility that's prepared for you. So I want to talk not only about coming into worship, but also you're a site director here at the Family of Faith. How does that work on the preschool side?
Preschool side is really just having the same concept of talking to the parents as soon as they walk in, making those fears at minimum, because putting your child in preschool is something that is a big deal, and it's scary, especially for first-time moms like me. So speaking to them, making eye contact when they walk in as a parent is something that actually goes above and beyond, that people don't realize is a big deal.
So here at the Family of Faith, we tried to prepare a nice welcome area. We have a wonderful administrative assistant at the door. The doors are also secure. So we're sending a message of safety and warmth and welcome simultaneously. Is that the right message?
I would say so. I believe that the Family of Faith has been so warm and welcoming, not only to myself, but now I can actually do my duties of a site director and making sure that they feel comfortable as a preschool, but also as a parent, because I'm a mom myself. I'd like to relate and say, your child is my child.
So that physical space communicates that. The human, though, interaction is super important, both at preschool and welcoming. One of the things I'm noticing, the difference at a preschool welcome and a church welcome, is when the mom or dad, we're specifically talking about mom here, when they come to our door for preschool, they have a very specific idea of services that they are looking for, and there are children like them. They're immediately in an area of people like them. Where a church is multi-generational, and you come into the space and you're not sure if there are going to be other children there, or if there's going to even be other moms of your time of life. Is that a fair comparison between the two?
I would say that's very fair, yes.
Okay. So let's just talk about a couple other physical things. When you come into a space, is there any specific provision that you're looking for? Like here we have a quiet play space in the back, so if mom had a child who didn't want to go to children's church and did want to stay with her, but she wanted to be in church but not disturb too many people, she could go there, or dad could go there. There's a changing table. There's a special area for moms who are nursing. Do those things communicate to modern moms?
Oh, yes. In fact, the first time that I was shown that room when I started my job here was that room. I was impressed. I was like, oh my goodness, a lot of places don't have this, because of even the nursing area. That's incredible, because sometimes it's not up to date, especially with the modern moms now. it's important to have that.
I see. Yeah, it can't just be. It needs to be well appointed and up to date and clean and functional, not just having one. This also goes over to very practical things like parking spots. Does a church need to have a special parking spot for a mom with a baby on board? I see these at supermarkets and things like that. Do we need that kind of thing?
I mean, it would be great to have that, but also, I think that that's kind of a new concept too.
Okay.
I just noticed that the other day at Kroger. I was like, oh, this is incredible to have a mom's only parking lot. So physically, yes, that would be a great addition.
Excellent. So we're talking modern mom by architecture, interior design, the art on the wall. Is there a parking spot? Is there a facility that would meet my needs with my child's needs? And the human element, which is so critical. Is there a warm welcome? Do they want me here? Is there a feel that they want me here? Are they glad to see that we're here? Do I fit into this social environment? Now, tell me a little bit about the timing. How fast does mom come to a conclusion when she's coming into our preschool or into our church? Is it, it's going to take her a week to think it through, or is it like boom, boom, boom?
I don't necessarily think it would take a week. I think it could be made a decision during the day. I mean, I know for myself when I first walked in and I thought, okay, this is something that I can see myself being a part of.
Great. So it's quite quick, the first impression, and we have to be very good stewards of that because it's very precious. A first impression may be a last impression if we don't think of mom before. She expects us to be like a good host or hostess that we've prepared for our guest,
right,
and for her specific needs and her family's needs. That makes a lot of sense. Let's go to ask a couple other specific physical type of things. And I don't mean to be too off point, but I've heard baby changing tables. We have one in our quiet play area, but in the bathrooms, how the bathrooms are, the cleanliness of the facility. Some of these things, I'd be blind to. I don't look in the restroom for a changing table. I notice there are more of those, but those kind of details, are those important for churches?
Oh, yes. In fact, the small details mean a lot. I mean, they can be something as minor as a changing table, but even for example, having a changing table in the men's bathroom for
right.
single fathers, that's something that is becoming that's the new norm.
Wow.
So I think just the tiny little details like that adds up to one big good investment.
So the church could be a little bit behind sometimes where it's thinking of mom being the sole caregiver of the child and it forgets, hold on now, dad's taking care of the child too. We need to make provision in the men's room as well as the women's room. We need space for mom and dad. Good points. Let's change gears. Lots of good input there on how to physically communicate with moms as far as personal interactions. What about the virtual world? First of all, do we really as a church need to be online? We've been around for 2,000 years without being online. And then if we do need to be online, how does that look? Where should we even start? It's such a big thing.
Online is important, especially with COVID that we've had in the past couple of years. I think virtually it helps out with those moms who aren't necessarily afraid, but they have two children that won't sit in the pew, and she wants to have that fulfillment of Jesus Christ in their lives, but she just physically can't because she's by herself and it's just too chaotic. Mm-hmm. I completely get that. So I think virtual is a great way to go as well.
So virtual is needed. It's a new component to the church, and the quality of the virtual is also important. Just as mom is saying, oh, this place is clean or not clean, or it's organized, or that it thought of me, she is judging the virtual space in kind of a similar way. Do they think of me? Is it high quality? Does it welcome me? Are there other people like me in this virtual space? Am I saying that correctly, or
yes,
is that
indeed, yes. Even, for example, my daughter's ballet class the other day was virtual. I got to watch virtually. Okay. And the fact that they included that, I don't even think they had that when I was in ballet as a child. They didn't think of it. But now with our technology, virtual is sometimes just the only way to go when it comes to those moms who are stuck at work and they can't be there to watch, but they want too.
So we've had virtual, at some time in the COVID crisis, virtual Christmas presentations, virtual graduations from preschool, and we'll need to keep that going apparently. Now, when we're talking with mom, there was a time when having a home computer was new and cool, but today, there's all kinds of electronic gadgets, right? So there's the desktop computer, there's a tablet, there's a phone. If we had to pick one, what would be your preference as far as an emphasis? If the church said, okay, we really need to talk with moms of young children today, and we're going to focus on this apparatus, computer, which one would you pick?
I would say phone.
Okay.
Just because it's in your pocket at all times. It's easy access. A laptop and computer is bulky and heavy, but everybody has a smartphone at this point in day and age.
We've talked here about a pyramid of communication where we measured by time. To get to a sermon-like period of conversation, you have a whole bunch of littles. So when we are talking about social media, a posting should be, how long does mom want to see a post normally? And how many posts would she consume? Do I send her one a month, or do I put one out there once a week? How often? And then, well, let's start with that one. How frequently and at how long should these communication pieces be?
For myself, personally, I would say every other day is important. And then boosting the post to make sure that it's seen. But every other day, if you do once a month, it can be forgotten. Even once a week. So.
We're looking for daily input, and then that interaction that you get from us, is that a 30-minute piece, 15-minute piece, a 30-second piece, 1-minute piece?
I would honestly say no more than maybe 3 minutes.
Okay.
Because our attention spans as a generation, I believe, are getting a little bit shorter, just to be honest. So I think if you do something that could be 5, 10, 20 minutes, also remember that we're moms.
Right.
And so we have children running around, and we don't really have time to sit down unless we plan out our time. Something short and to the point is what we need.
Some of the moms are Z generation and taking care of alpha generation kids, the younger end of the moms. We have some millennials still in this category of moms taking care of young children. Absolutely, that's the case. But there is a little difference between the millennial generation and the Z generation. I'm used to, talking about baby boomer millennial, but this needs to shift here. And the difference with millennials, they remember not having all the cell phones, but the Zs, they don't. It's assumed, like you have running water at your church, that you have online your cell phones available, and it's high quality, and you get to the point.
Right.
So let's talk more detail now about, where should we emphasize our investment of time and energy? Our website development, there's social media. Where would you start? What do you find helpful? What is it that you would say, hey, you should start, Facebook or wherever?
I would say social media prior to website, because honestly, whenever I want to know about a review of a place, I go just to their Facebook page. People can leave reviews, and it's quick and simple. They'll have their announcements pinned at the top, the most important things. So I believe that social media, specifically Facebook for my millennial self, is what I go to. Okay,
well, you're certainly at the end of the very last of the millennials. We'll give it to you, the millennials. Okay, we'll go with that. So, you've mentioned Facebook because it's pretty handy. So Facebook would be a good place to invest in. There are so many sites. Things like TikTok, Twitter are different sites. The mom maybe she goes to TikTok for entertainment, and she goes to Twitter for news, and she goes to Facebook for, I don't know. How does that work?
Every platform is different, like you said. TikTok, you're absolutely right. It's for watching funny cat videos and, funny babies and that kind of thing. I would say Facebook is more interacting with your family and looking up businesses. You're right about Twitter. Twitter is great, but it really doesn't have the whole aspect of where you can have the pictures and the posts all in one. Same with Instagram. Instagram is specifically pictures. You can write a little tidbit, but nothing's going going to draw your attention like a good Facebook post.
So we're just summarizing here on the social media and the electronic communication with moms who are modern. One, we definitely need social media. Two, before website, maybe priority-wise, the social media. Facebook's a good option because it combines a lot of different media, not just text, not just pictures, but you can post a lot of things in combination. We also understand that we need to post at least, at a minimum, every other day, and those posts need to be brief, in a matter of 30 seconds, a minute, no more than 3 minutes. That's a long, long post. And then a lot of these littles lead up to a little bit longer conversation. Here at the Family Faith Preschool, we hope that our social media postings lead to visit at the door. But I'm thinking that a modern mom has a common pathway that she follows. So, I run into, this is just my imagination, so please help me. I run into a really neat post that Joey posted on Facebook about a preschool. I'm looking for a preschool. Click. That was pretty neat. And then it has, the next thing is a website. Click. Okay, click. Now I'm at your website. And now I'm looking all over your website. And then, wow. And then click, make an appointment. And now I'm getting repair. Do I really want to talk to a human being? There's a little anxiety. What's going to happen? I'm going to bring my kid. I'm not sure. What's on the web page is different than what's real. I know that. And now there's a human interaction that has all that wonderful the interior design and architecture and good warm conversations. And then we make our kind of connection. Is that a common path?
Right, and it started from social media.
Okay.
And as far, like I said earlier, boosting the posts, making sure they see it first, and clicking into their interests, and it's just a progressive ladder that leads you to the website. So I think websites, of course, are still important, but it started from the foundation of social media.
Much more important than, say, print. We used to sell mailings, and, my mailbox at home's filled with all kinds of stuff still, but I can't say I read any of it. They're literally cool looking, but doesn't move me to action.
Yeah, those usually end up in the trash, unfortunately.
So some of our old-fashioned ways of doing things, not as much mom's way. And there was a time in the church, I remember this as seminary, where we were trained to go door to door. And it was a very specific training. And we would not, if I knocked on your door unannounced today, how was that received by modern mom?
I don't really answer my door, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that helps.
Because you see so many scary things on the news. I have a Ring doorbell myself, to where you can actually see them as they walk up. And if it's someone I don't know, again, as a single mom, I do not answer the door.
So if you got two good-looking guys from the local Lutheran church, a 50-ish-year-old pastor with his 70-year-old buddy, and they come knocking on your door to share Christ with you, it's not a pleasant welcome. You're looking through electronic eyeball at us saying, I think I'll pass, or maybe even put it on speaker, please.
Right, say we're not interested at this time. There's no actual interaction physically at all.
So that really emphasizes where the church has in the past been trained up to meet face to face, and that's really what we hear in the scripture too. A lot of face-to-face interactions, not even written interaction was kind of the high tech back 2,000 years ago. But this face-to-face is just not available, first of all. I know we've done a few things here at the Family of Faith to attempt to help people overcome some of that anxiety of getting to know each other. We call it a mingle. What do you think about that? The idea of a mingle is we have a neutral location, like a local restaurant or a bar, and we have an event where just for parents at our preschool to meet each other. Because the parents, they're the same generation, but that doesn't mean they all went to high school together or something. They don't know each other. Their kids go to the same preschool. So is that kind of social interaction helpful for today's moms?
I would say so, especially if it's somewhere where we feel comfortable, like you said, a restaurant or the local bar. That I enjoy the mingles so much. It's fun. I get to not only talk to moms my age, but also other church members. So that's important.
Right. So I love that jingle mingle we had. We had a combination between church and preschool where the preschool took care of children in a very generous way. And then we had a social activity that the parents could come to. So there is a place for face-to-face interaction, but it's different. It has to be designed a little differently, and it should be in coordination. It's with the social media, the website, all these communication tools need to come together in a it takes a lot of smalls at the bottom side of the communication pyramid to have me feel comfortable to have a website interaction, to have me comfortable having an actual human interaction of any sort.
Exactly, right.
Okay. Good to know. And I'm understanding again that Facebook seems to be better for church communication. We've tried TikTok, we've tried Instagram, but again, if we just try a post here and there, it really needs to be daily, preferably, new content, clever. It takes energy to do that.
It does, but if you put a little bit in, you'll see the progress and results in time.
How do you think, and we'll close with this, how do you think that moms can meet mom? Do moms still want to meet each other? And then how do they find each other? What I'm noticing is that some of our mothers in our preschool, they don't have their own mother here. I'm hearing from them, we moved here from XYZ and California. There's a lot of people moving to Texas right now. And so I'll just say my wife likes talking to our daughter. I think our daughter likes talking to my wife. Moms still like to talk to their moms, junior. How do they connect? And what could we do to facilitate moms finding a community, even with this virtual emphasis?
Well, I'm a part of a few mom groups on Facebook, Moms of Cyprus and Ask Cyprus, and it's really helped me find good pediatricians for my daughter and good dentists for my daughter. And there are a few posts on there who are like, I'd love to have a mommy meetup. I'm from California, or I'm from Washington, and I'd love to meet some new moms. So it's really just going back to social media. And you're right, our moms are not here. My mom lives 2 hours away. So it's important to meet up with other moms who feel kind of the same way.
So mom groups are available. Years ago, we still have the Lutheran Women's Missionary League, great organization, very missionally focused, but again, based on some other kind of interactions. Back in my day anyhow, it was quilting. They loved to get together for quilting, and that's a wonderful thing. They made beautiful quilts, and they helped a lot of people. But what I'm hearing from you is the interaction is that mom would feel a need to get connected with her new community, and she uses her cell phone to reach out, maybe finding an interactive platform on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or all of them, where moms have a forum, and then she's out there actively seeking connection, but pretty much only through social media. So maybe the church needs to sponsor those kind of conversations to facilitate moms discussing things online.
That would be great. I would definitely join it myself, and I think it's a great way to reach out to our other preschool moms too, and have them want to be a part of the church as well. I mean, it's just planting that seed of meeting up with them first and saying, hey, why don't you come to church with me? You would have a great time as a mom.
I really appreciate your time here, and thank you for taking time to listen here. This has been the Family Faith Lutheran Church. We've been talking about what we call learning to speak modern mom. The idea is how to communicate with the mothers who are taking care of children today, young children especially, and is there any specific language, approaches, communication approaches, relational approaches that we need to learn as a congregation, as a church. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
God's blessings. Bye-bye.
My name is Amber Robbins, and I have 2 children, Olivia and Gabriel. Olivia is 8 years old, and she's in 2nd grade, and Gabriel is 6 years old in kindergarten.
It's just amazing to me because I remember when both children were in care here at the preschool, and now they're all grown up and getting big in elementary school. It's just great. So we want to learn how we might communicate well with a person in your time of life, moms with children in their care in these modern days. And we see here at the Family of Faith, there's kind of 2 big chunks. One is the physical, tangible interactions, and the other is the virtual. So let's start with the physical and tangible. What kind of things do you see, Amber, that the church did do well as we met you, or we could do better, which are our physical, tangible interactions?
Yeah, so when I first started going to the Family of Faith my son was an infant,
Oh, wow.
and then I had a 2-year-old. And so you all showed me the like cry room that I could actually nurse my son while I was watching the service. And that was a really big part of joining the church because it was comfortable and I didn't have to have my kids be super quiet in the service if we needed to escape a little bit. And so that was the major part of joining. And then as my kids got older, having a program for them while we were going to church. I volunteered for about a year, once a month, to teach kids, but it was a little more challenging because there wasn't a set curriculum, and then there were different age groups together in one big group. So that was a little more challenging as our kids got older.
So I just want to repeat back what I heard. One is that the physical building, we had a space, we call it the quiet play area, and it used to be a closet. We didn't have this space. We redid the whole structure and turned this closet space into a nice space for families that have young children in their care. And it certainly was designed to allow those things. And it functioned like you described, is wonderful. So in there we have a changing table, mom or dad can have access to. There is a privacy curtain, an area where mom can have privacy if she chooses to nurse. And in our mind, we were demonstrating that we thought of you before we met you. Does it have that effect?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And then the second thing I heard from you was that not only the physical building, such as the quiet play area, but also programs. Did you think of my children's programs, and am I invited into the programming? And you're right, we have matured over the years in our children's church offering, and thank God now we have a curriculum and we have a little more structure than we had previously. But it's very important to go ahead and offer the programming, again, ahead of having people there to use it. You have to think of people before they're there, and then also let people know that they're welcome to participate. And I was so glad to hear that you felt invited in to participate in that activity. Those social interactions seem to be important. Anything else about physical, human interaction, programmatic interactions, physical property interactions that we should consider as church when we're talking to moms these days?
I think, going into a church as a young couple, we kind of look for other young couples. So that's kind of hard because you have to have young couples stay, and so that's one thing we look for so that we can have friends that are kind of in a similar life situation as us. So that's like when I think about walking into the church, that's kind of what we're looking around. What does it look like? And I know that you all used to have that area where the kids would play in in the sanctuary. And I think it was smart to not have that during COVID because now I wouldn't even want my children to look at that. No, we're not going to touch. So I think that's smart that you transitioned away from that for now. But it was fun while it was going on for a while.
So I'm hearing you say there is a threshold when a young couple, a mom with young children enters our space, it's almost an immediate survey that's being taken. And maybe not a structured survey, but you're looking for certain things. One, is this place for us? And you're looking for indicators like, are there other people with children? That are we in a group of people like ourselves? That seems like a fair thing to look for. And then do those people and ourselves have what we need for the care of our children and the worship of our family, including we're trying hard. I thought before COVID, there was a world where we didn't have to be so concerned about being next to each other and so forth. So this space was a quiet play area in the sanctuary where we had toys, soft toys, so they didn't make a lot of noise, but the children could interact and play in the sanctuary. Now that was available to us because our pews are movable and we have a kind of a multi-use space in our sanctuary. So if nothing else, that showed families that we thought of them and that their children were welcome and that they are welcome. We had space for them. So I'm glad to hear that you have a good memory, because it's going on 2 or 3 years since we were able to do that, right? Let's transition. We've been talking about physical space, personal interactions, programmatic activity. And you've already noted that the big program was early childhood care and education. That was a large personal way that we interacted with each other, and that was really important to connecting with Mom too. But now let's go into the virtual space. First of all, I don't mean to look too silly, but does the church really need to get involved in the virtual world, or can we just kind of skip it?
Oh, I think it's critical to have the church in the virtual world. Some things I've already noticed, you've made some TikToks, which is really cool, because that's where people are at right now, is TikTok. And I think your church is really advanced in that, because I've seen, we go to Second Baptist sometimes and we go to Messiah Lutheran sometimes.
Sure.
So I'm seeing different ways churches are doing things. In Second Baptist, our kids have been in that program sometimes, and they text us all the time.
Okay.
And that's okay, but we don't really go there, as a home base. So it's kind of annoying in some ways, but it does get it out there,
So you get somebody their information, they use it.
Yes.
And of course, we are two huge different, we're a tiny kind of boutique church, and they're the opposite. They would be the IKEA of churches, But that we're all trying to communicate, and that the TikTok, I'm hearing from you, is a good option. How many, what do we call a TikTok post? TikToks? I don't know how you refer to them. Each post, how many postings would be helpful? And how often do we do that? What would be your suggestion? What's the content like? Is it serious? Is it lighthearted? I appreciate you noticing. We've probably done maybe a half a dozen TikToks here, so we're still really new to it. But staying on that particular social media outlet, what would be your advice?
I think when you make it funny, people watch it more. I usually watch it. You did one out front of your church that I watched at least 3 times, just what was going on next. And it was funny. And that was good.
Okay.
And I think posting, often help people know that you're still here. You're a presence on TikTok. I would say maybe once a week at least.
So a lighthearted content would be best, and that is a very brief exposure time in a TikTok. It's the opposite of a sermon. It's just fractions of seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds of repeated kind of waving or some other kind of activity. So I'm glad you saw them. Sounds like we might need to do this more often. That a post on a daily basis, or even, if we could get there, would be excellent. Something like that. Would that make sense if we could get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you had to, scan social media, and including our webpage is a virtual outlet, which is it? TikTok is the primary one, or is there any others that stick out, or do we need to stay focused on TikTok, or would it be a good idea to be providing content across a wide spectrum of social media?
Yeah, I think the website, just making it polished, and I mean the last time I visited it looked polished and it looked new, and just making it so it's the most current. But I don't really go to the website. I usually look on Facebook and TikTok, and usually you can share your TikToks on Facebook, but other people, will do Twitter or Instagram. So it kind of depends on the members and what they usually look at. I personally look at Facebook for events a lot, and I'll get TikTok once in a while.
So we have a little bit of an inner relationship between social media. We need a large spectrum of social media because social media are different tools that do different things. TikTok is little lighthearted interactions that may build to, hey, here's an activity I want to learn more about, so I'll go to Facebook to learn more about it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe on Facebook we're sent to the website to even learn even more about it. So there's kind of a step ladder. We call it a communication pyramid here. And mm-hmm. we agree that we need to have a large base leading to a Facebook, leading to a website, and preferably, hopefully, leading to someday meeting people face to face. It does seem rare to me that we have people that just meet face to face right away without any social interaction. Mm-hmm. You have been so helpful. We really appreciate it. We're going to hear from some other moms too, but any last thoughts on the general topic of how can a church communicate well with a mom with young children in their care today?
Yeah, I think just understanding that today it's just so busy, so moms don't go to church as often as they used to. There's usually, there might be a few that go every Sunday, but I would say the norm is once a month. And trying to welcome people just once a month if they come, maybe not saying, "Are you new?" every time, because that's what I get a lot. But yeah, just trying to understand where we're coming from in this busy time.
We have noted that moms often use social media themselves for things that come up in their experience of motherhood. It might have been 100 years ago where mom talked to her neighbor across the fence about such things. But now, instead of that across the fence conversation, it's she chooses to befriend. Maybe they've never even met, but they become social support structures for each other. Do you find that for your own self? Because I know that not to give too much, you've lived at several places in your career, and family was not immediately here in Houston. Mm-hmm. So do you find social media playing that kind of role now and again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Nextdoor app, that's another thing, having an app to go to look for things like Nextdoor, finding friends in our neighborhood. Yeah, I don't really talk to our neighbors that much, right. But I can message them on Facebook Messenger and talk to them that way.
Well, that helps. That gives us an insight. Again, thank you so much for your time, Amber. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we could share the final project, with you once we're done editing it together. But we do appreciate the time so very much. Really, very kind of you. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye now.
Sure. So Brianne Tennant, I am Jackson's mom. He goes to the Family of Faith Mira Mesa. He's in the preschool class. We have a blended family. So my husband and I each have a son. So my husband Job has a son, Aiden, and he's 18, and Jackson is 5. So we have a good gap between the two. But yeah, that's our family.
Excellent. Fantastic. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you, Bree, for the time. We're trying to learn how to communicate well with today's moms, and we want to learn this as a congregation here at the Family of Faith. We want to be able to do this also because we have 2, as you noted, preschool locations that we support here at the Family of Faith. So it's really important that we are able to communicate clearly and well and effectively with moms in these modern days. So we see there being basically 2 big chunks of ways we communicate. One is with actual physical, tangible interactions, and the other is with virtual. So we want to start with that physical, tangible interaction. In your opinion, what's important in that time that we're actually with each other in the common space? How can we communicate that we want you here, we're glad you're here?
So I'm not exactly sure what kind of feedback you're looking for, but I'll give you my honest feedback.
Yeah, please. Honest is good.
Tell me if you need me to redirect that feedback to any other direction. But so I should add a disclaimer that I am Catholic. Mm-hmm. So my view of church is probably much different than Lutherans, or maybe not entirely different, but the atmosphere and what I'm used to and what I grew up with, has obviously constructed what my expectation is out of a church setting, out of a sanctuary. So with that sort of leading, I would say what I'm used to within a church in a physical space is a very calming spiritual place. Catholic churches, as an example, have a lot of background music. It's mostly psalms, so I wouldn't say that I enjoy the psalms so much. But when I come into a church, I think those things are things that I think of or notice without necessarily knowing that I'm doing that. But the smell is nice. Sometimes they light incense, or there's candles. There's that type of atmosphere. There's gentle background music, like a piano or an organ or something like that. There's also a welcoming, sort of peaceful looking sanctuary, stained glass windows, different colors. I would say the pews are more uncomfortable. So I think the setup that you have is really good. Also, even just sort of coming into the church or noticing it, like if I didn't know the Family of Faith existed in Copperfield on 529, I wouldn't know that it was there. I wouldn't think of it as a church. But my, visualization in my mind of what a church is looks really churchy, lush landscaping, peaceful, nice walkways, and it looks like a church, right? And I would say that those things sort of naturally draw me in because that's what I'm used to, and that's what I associate with what a church looks like and what a church feels like.
No need to redirect. I appreciate the honesty and candor. No, what I heard you say, just to repeat back what I think I gathered here, one is you're very sensitive to the feel of the physical space, the way it feels. And you were listing there quite a few things in your experience of churches, of whatever denomination, that the feel comes with, is made up of a bunch of factors, including the scent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. That's very insightful. I wouldn't get that, but I think that is true, and that we need to consider that. The visual atmosphere, the music, the sound, the sight, the sense is very sensory, and you're kind of in a heightened state of sensory interaction as you come into church, and those need to all come together to register as peaceful. So it should be peaceful.
Yeah. And I get that, and it made me think of two more things, if I could, really quickly. So
you're fine. You were fine for time.
Okay, good. So the peaceful, I think, so as far as, going to a Catholic Mass, when you get there, initially what you do is you pray. And I think that peaceful atmosphere helps to sort of help you get into more a meditative space, clear your mind, focus on your thoughts and what you want to say to God and all of that. And so I think those things help. The other thing that I wanted to mention is from a difference that I've noticed that I really like is, for example, Jackson loves the music and the children's message. I don't think as Catholics we do as good of a job of catering to the young ones, and Jackson really enjoys that, doing the children's message and then leading them out. And I think more of again, when I mentioned like the Psalms and the type of music, really do like the music. The Catholic in me isn't as sing-songy as perhaps other Christian churches, but I think the music is a good aspect of it. I don't prefer it to be more of a Christian rock show, kind of more background, kind of leading into, but I think maybe a song like that for the kids before they go to children's church is really effective because they get to dance, get some wiggles out. They like it. They know Mr. Joey, all of that. And that was just something I thought of and I wanted to mention.
Well, I think it's excellent input. What I'm hearing you say is that children need to be thought of. And if we're trying to communicate with today's moms who have children in their care, then the children need to be cared for. We need to think of them. We need to speak their language too. Mom's looking to see if there's other children and if the children have children's church, and that the music, it might even be there that would be helpful to them. That there would be also Jackson's been with us for how many years at our preschool, at the Family Faith Preschool?
3.
Okay, so 3 years of childcare, that's an interaction, a physical interaction, where you were apparently very affirming that there is a good place for him, not just on Sunday, but also throughout the week, and for his overall development, and of course, including his spiritual development. So offering a preschool communicates well with today's moms too.
I would say, yeah. I think if it weren't for the preschool, I never would have thought to go to a Lutheran service. So it's really opened up that possibility. And I think that the Lutheran service is a little bit more fit for purpose for our lifestyle and for Jackson, because I think it does, the way that you at least conduct it provides a space for them. And also the children's message and things like that, I think are very good. And he gets a lot of that throughout the week at preschool too, which was another driving force. You know, we wanted him to have that experience through daycare, through school. And it's something that he does really enjoy. And so I think that that's really important. I mean, ideally, we would have a church over here that we could go to, you know, off of Fry or near the preschool.
Right, yeah, sure.
It sounds very bad to say because it sounds like you're deprioritizing your faith, and I guess we are, but it's location and convenience. You know, if it's easy and it's close to things that we need to do after church and it's closer to home, it makes that whole morning of, hey, let's get up, get ready, go to church. Oh, HEB's right here. We can go pick up dinner. We can do all of these other things. And it's just part of the day, and it makes it part of the day easier. And I think there's more kids, you know?
Absolutely. Just so you know, we do have a play and pray that we do offer as worship.
You've been there.
That's the second Sunday of the month. You've been there, and that'll keep going the second Sunday of every month. But yes, coming back from COVID, we hope to expand our worship. I appreciate what you say, though. The physical look of the buildings are important, that they should be attractive, and indicating that they are a church is helpful, where our facilities are more generic looking and aren't so much aren't signaling people that we are a church. And so finding each other just by having property is not true. It's not going to attract people just because you happen to have property and have a building. You need to reach out and engage through programming such as early childhood care and education. And then it would be great if the church and the preschool were closely associated and on the same page, that we're trying to speak the same language to mom with her young child.
It's another opportunity for, you know, to see parents of children that your child interacts with. And so they know that, oh, I can go to church and do children's message with my friends from school and things like that. It kind of creates another network for moms too. To maybe even congregate after church or, you know, before or whatever.
I like that church and preschool, that their moms are looking to have their goals and aspirations for their children supported, as you noted with the decision for childcare. But also they're looking to share those goals and aspirations with other moms of like mind who are in the same time of life, and that they see each other as resources and partners, is what I'm hearing you say. So I'd like to, with that introduction, let's shift to the virtual way of discussing. So we talked about physical interaction. So does the church, an ancient institution, does it really need to be involved in social media?
Yeah, I think you do. You have to evolve with the times in order to keep the church relevant.
1 second. I think we've lost you. Is your microphone on? We can't hear you right now.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We just got it.
My connection.
So let's go back to that question because we had some technical snafu, but now we hear you and we're good. So the question was, does the church really need to be involved in social media?
Yes, they do. I think even though it may seem misplaced or not part of it, you have to evolve. And if you want the church to continue to be relevant, I think this is true for any church. You need to be able to reach the people. And where are the people? The people are on social media. And if you're looking to tap into young moms and young families, moms are on social media. There can be, a group for family of faith moms, and you can do that through Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. Honestly, I think you would want to leverage any of them. Twitter, whatever, I think just because then you're expanding the reach and you're getting to a more youthful demographic. And also you're able to tap into something in a virtual way that helps you feel a little bit more connected and lets you know that there's another resource there, even if it's outside of, streaming live church service or things like that. I think it's a really good, valuable tool.
Absolutely. What you expected my next question. You got ahead of my next question was going to be exactly what you already said, which was really need to be involved not only in social media but across the board. Numerous different feeds, numerous different platforms for social media, not just one. If you had to pick one, and let's pretend, let's go back 3 years ago when we don't know each other yet. You're looking for service for care for your child. Instagram was that initial interaction.
That's where I would probably go. Okay. I go to Instagram for other things, for things about celiac and gluten-free, for other kid activities. I mean, it is a resource in a community that you can tap into. That's easy.
That's great. Good to know, because what we're hearing is not only which social media platform various people prefer, but also that we use the social media for more than just saying finding a preschool. You talked about health issues, that you would use Instagram to connect with people who had common concerns, that you would use the social media outlet to try to connect with other moms from our own preschool.
Mix and mingle. I've made friends online with some of the moms. It's another way to connect, and you can also reach out through that. So I think that that's a really valuable thing to have.
To continue with our conversation about social media, we definitely need it. We definitely need a broad exposure on various platforms. Your preference is Instagram. How many feeds do we need? How many posts and what's the frequency? And also the content. Is the content heavy or is it light, or what do you want for, go ahead.
That's a really good question. I don't know that I know how to answer it to the best, or I guess in the best way, but thinking about content, I don't think you want to inundate the platform. I think you want to put content out and you want to make the connection between learning and faith and family and community. Those are the things that just sort of run through my mind is, okay, what am I looking for? If I see family of faith come up on my Instagram feed, what do I want to know about them? What's going to attract me? Hey, we take all denominations. We focus on children and family. And it's a family service, and it's a place where we'll take care of your children, while you attend service, so you can listen to the message and that they're also getting a message and, socializing with their peers. I think, for example, if you do the mix and mingles again, I think Instagram is a good way to put that out there. And to let them know, hey, where we're at, where we're going. You can have people comment and say that they're coming. And so, oh, that mom's coming, Michael's mom is coming. Okay, maybe I should go. I know her. So it's just, I think it's things like that. And I think just keeping it open. And you talked about it last week in service as well. And, multi-generational, multi-denominational, diverse.
There's a lot of multiples in there, aren't there?
Lots of multiples.
Yes, we want everyone to know the gospel. So yes, we do reach in everyone.
Being a blended family, my family's diverse as well in a way. And it's nice to know that being a blended family, you're welcome as well.
Right.
And I think that's just another thread.
Beautifully said. We appreciate your time. It's just been so helpful to have this time with you. We've learned a lot. Again, we're going to put you in an edited format with other moms like this. Did want to note that mix and mingle, just so people watching, this is a opportunity to get together at a local, it's a bar called Local Bar, and we get together and have a beverage and a snack and then physically network. But it takes a lot of social media interaction leading up to that physical interaction. So if you were to see
Oh, sorry, because we also forget. So having those reminders and having it come up if you get tagged in something, yeah.
There's a little bit of a communication pyramid. So you need to see so many Instagram feeds to realize that there's an event. And then might you go to our website or our Facebook connection to learn more about the event? And then there might be several layers of social media before actually going to the Mingle event. Is that true?
You're asking me? Yes, I would say that that's true. Yeah, and you need to reach out on multiple platforms to get that out there.
So some of the social media is introductory level. So that would be your TikTok, your Instagram, your Twitter feeds. Some is a medium level. I'd like a little more information. That would be more like your Facebook and your web page. And then having an actual visit to a physical location of any type is like third level interaction, at maybe even fourth level interaction. It takes a lot of communication before we decide to, I'm going to go join the Mingle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and on Facebook you could set up a group, Family of Faith Moms, or or Instagram, #Family of Faith Kids, and that's you can just go spin off in so many directions. It can grow so many legs.
It is exciting, isn't it? Bree, you've been so generous. I really appreciate it.
Doug.
Thank you so much, Bree. God bless you. Take care. We're bringing in an expert here, and I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Amanda Brown. I have a 5-year-old son, Nolan, who actually went to Family of Faith preschool for the time that he was about 1.5 till he was 4. So we're very familiar with Family of Faith and Pastor Doug and everybody that works there.
We're so glad to have you with us, Amber. Thank you for taking the time. As we try to learn about how to speak modern mom, how to communicate well with moms with young children in their care, and how old is Nolan these days?
He's 6. Sorry, okay. I said that he's 5. He is 6. He just had his 6th birthday.
I remember him being much younger. He was like 3 or 4 when I first met him. But the years go by. We're trying to learn how to communicate well, and we're so glad we've been able to connect. And there's 2 basic ways. One is a physical way. We have a building in the preschool and in those kind of interactions, and then we have some virtual presence, but maybe need to improve there too. So let's start with the physical side of things. When you were new, back there 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago, when we were first getting to meet each other, how did our physical communication, how did we communicate, and was it something that was helpful?
Absolutely. I think Miss Cora was the first person that I was able to interact with, and she was so welcoming and kind and knowledgeable, and just told me everything about the preschool and everything that would be happening to my son while he was in somebody else's care, which is a really hard thing to do, especially I was a new mom and I had never left my son with somebody besides family members. So just the warm welcome that she gave me, and then once he was part of the preschool, just all of the teachers were so amazing, and everything was so welcoming visually too in the preschool. That was really great to see.
So I'm understanding that there is a sense to your first physical, direct, personal interaction, and that interaction was, thank God, Ms. Cora, our director of preschool operation, warm. Now, I'm just going to share a little information. I understand you to be a registered nurse.
I'm an MA, yes. I'm in the medical field. I've been in the medical field actually since I was 16, so.
Wow. And so coming from that perspective, you have a real good idea what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And you were seeing the trust, the warmth, the well-informed, The
Yes.
persons that you were interacting, the staff was interacting with you in a very good way. And that built trust where you could see your child being in good care. But there was a second part to it. You also looked at the facility.
Yes.
And that the facilities themselves were testifying that, yes, we're well prepared and well resourced to care for children. So there's kind of two parts. Let's talk about the personal warmth and stuff. Before you ever got to meet Cora, how did you even know to meet her?
So I had a friend that lives around the area that I had asked, hey, I'm going back to work to nurse, and I need to find a place to send Nolan. And y'all's preschool was the first place that she actually recommended, because I think she had sent her kids there for a little bit. And she said they are amazing, they're kind. And I also wanted something with, that Christian background, not just of daycare. I wanted something that would also fulfill him spiritually as well. So that was a big thing. So I went to the website, I emailed Miss Cora, and we were communicating, through email at first, and then we set up the meeting, and that's where I met her face to face.
I'm noticing in your sharing there several layers. One is a completely really outside of our realm. There was a mom-to-mom interaction where there was a trust network that was pre-existing, and that helped introduce you to our care. There was a preschool, so the church was providing for the care of children, which was a service you were needing, but you had some specifications. You wanted spiritual life to be part of that, which of course warms my heart to no end. I love that. It almost had me tear up there, but that is gorgeous. And then there was a website, so there was some kind of electronic place for you to learn more.
Yes.
And then finally we get to this meeting of Cora, where you discover she is this wonderful person, and she certainly is. Love it. So that's the kind of interpersonal connection. Now let's go through it with the physical property side of things. When you're coming into our facility, go ahead and be honest. What were the things that looked attractive? They're like, oh, this is going to be a good place, or not. And help me figure out how fast these decisions are made.
So first thing, immediate, right when we walked up, I saw the security measures that y'all have. You can't get in unless you push that intercom or you have a key to let you in. That, first off, was amazing, because I need to know that my son is secure while he's not in my watch. Because as a parent, it's hard to let your kids go because they're under the best care with you. But secondary, you have to make sure that the other people that are taking care of your life, your child, will take the measures to protect them. And that was wonderful. But then once we walked in, you could see the playground right when you walk in. And one thing that I loved about y'all's playground as well, the attention to detail, like there's like the big kid area and then the little kid area. That's so little, but y'all know, maybe little kids can't handle this, so y'all specified, and I really like that y'all did that for little kids and then the big kids.
So I'm noticing immediately we're looking for indications that this is a safe place. And yes, the human interactions make you feel safe, but also the facilities, including security measures, and a playground that's both attractive, right-sized, and safe, and that the facilities are giving a message too. If you walked in and we were completely mute, you would be receiving messaging from the way we keep the facility. Was it clean? Was it well painted? Was the facility a facility you could see your child in? Okay, so the facilities have a role to play.
Oh, absolutely. Visually. And all the artwork that y'all had on the walls and stuff, and like the little kid handprints and the pictures of the kids, like you could just feel the love when you walk through those hallways.
What you just said, that last thing you just said is so important. Moms with young children analyze the situation, certainly, but also feel it. There's a feel to it. And that is important that we prepare both on our side of of the interaction that we realize mom is looking for those structural things like security cameras or security doors, and she's looking for the emotional side of it. Is there warmth? Are they well prepared? Did they think of me before I got here? Right? So I want to stay on this topic of physical space just a little more. And if you're willing to share, that would be, it's of course up to you. But your family has a unique circumstance. And maybe you could share a little bit about that. And then I think I remember our facilities having been used to support your family in that unique circumstance. Would you be willing to share about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So at the age of 4, my son Nolan was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL, which is a form of cancer. And it was a whirlwind. And I remember you coming to visit him whenever he was first diagnosed, when we were in the hospital. And I cannot tell you how much that meant to me, because as embarrassing as it is to admit, I was mad at God. I was very angry, and I questioned my faith, and just you coming there to visit with us made a huge impact. And teachers have reached out to me, and I've stayed in contact with them, even though he had to be taken out of preschool, to go undergo chemo and everything. All of the teachers, even I think 4 of the teachers came and visited us at our home. You came and visited him and brought him donuts. So y'all have just provided us with so much love and support, even when we weren't technically a physical part of the preschool or the church. And y'all graciously allowed us to host a fundraiser as well, because medical expenses are a little bit crazy, especially when it comes to chemo and all the meds that he's on and the loads of visits that we have to go to. Y'all graciously let us host a fundraiser where it took a huge burden off of me, and I really can't thank y'all enough for that.
You call that Smash Cancer? Was that the name of the
Yes,
fundraiser? Smash Cancer.
Hulk Smash.
And I also remember that fondly. I remember also we needed tables and everything because there was food being served, and we have an AA group. And amazing, just hand of God, amazing. They carried all these chairs and tables down for us. Totally had no idea how that was going to get done. And it all worked out, and praise God, it was a success. Yes. I also recall having people come to a restaurant here. We had an interaction that way. And trunk or treat, we had, we were hanging out together, and it was so kind of you guys to stop by as we had our trunk or treat. And Nolan got to, hang out a little bit too. And you've been very, very generous with Nolan's story online as well. So maybe at this time we could shift to this idea of the virtual space. Hearing a little bit of that service. What I heard in those last comments were, though, what looks like a parking lot, that might actually be your church's way to help someone with their fundraiser.
Yes.
That your facilities as a church, our facilities, how you use them, and are you willing to allow others to use them, it matters. And so the physical space still matters. But there's also virtual space. And a silly question maybe, but do we really need to be involved with social media as a church, or can we just skip that?
I think it is absolutely vital to be part of the social media platform. There are so many out there, so I think it's yours for the taking, and it would be crucial to be part of it.
Okay, so we can't not do our homework. We need to get involved here with social media. That's are people in the church that are of an age that remember life before social media, and they're not always running to it quite with the same energy that today's moms do. Let's go into it, though. If you had to pick a platform, which one would you prefer?
I personally go to Facebook a little bit more. I think, circling back to Nolan having leukemia, I have parent support groups for parents with, kids with cancer or exactly leukemia that I really go to for support, and it's vital to my success and my mental stability to go to Facebook and see other people's stories and connect with my peers just for that extra help.
So let's just capture that again, that I'm hearing you say that social media isn't always just lighthearted. That with Nolan's leukemia and a community needing to be supporting for your, as you meant, your own mental well-being is important. And that is not enough. That's a real deal. And there's so many stresses and strains that go through leukemia patients' journey and their parent, okay, as they're having to find ways financially and so forth. And then just to share, I've observed, you've been kind enough to allow me to be part of that Facebook community of yours, and there's the pouring out of the heart, and then knowing that you're not alone and you had these people. So it's a legitimate, I would call, pastoral care instrument. So people know that they're loved and prayed for. And you've shared, it can be a very deep interaction that social media is used for.
True? Absolutely.
So Facebook is definitely a place we want to support. I'm also noticing the way social media is used is yes, there's entertainment and there's just like interaction, but actual, there is a real network there in that we go to them asking things like, if I can share one of your questions,
Yes.
Nolan's not eating his peas or whatever it was. He was.
Yeah.
How do I do that? You had this open question to your friends and people following you. Is that normal? You think that people do that regularly, or is that unusual?
Oh, absolutely. So, the modern mom, we always have, our cell phone, within arm's reach, but we don't necessarily use it as a typical phone. That's our lifeline to social media, to our friends or peers or whoever. So yeah, social media can be for the lighthearted stuff, which sometimes you need. Yeah. You need that lighthearted stuff to pick you up whenever you're having a hard day or to laugh, whatever. But it is such a great tool for when things are not going right and you need help, you need advice. And that's one of the beautiful things about social media, that you can do that with. I have a special circumstance. I do have a child with leukemia, with cancer. I am a single mom, so, I need help with that as well sometimes. But just parenthood in general can be isolating. Motherhood can be isolating. So, and even when you're not going through a pandemic, it can be isolating. So having the social media just right there at your fingertips, to where you can talk to your friends who you're maybe not getting interactions with like you normally would if you weren't a parent, if there wasn't a pandemic, you can pick their brains without actually having to leave your home. And yeah, that post that I made about Nolan, he is a picky eater. And even if he didn't have cancer, nutrition is a very big part of growing up. And I want to make sure that I, as his mom, am doing everything I can to set him up for success. So yeah, I could pick up the phone and be like, hey, so-and-so, like, what do you do? But using the Facebook post that I had, I was able to reach a ton of people, people that I know personally or maybe acquaintances. And I was able to get just not one opinion. I was able to get many opinions that I can sort through and pick from what I think would be best for me and Nolan.
So you had social media helping you with a very tangible, specific parenting issue, and we're able to get counsel. You're turning to the social media platform for counsel in parenting, receiving all kinds of inputs, some which might be helpful, some which might just make you smile, but all of them were interacting with you, reminding you're not alone, and that this is not the first time that people have had a child with a picky eater, that there are other people who've tried to, and at various levels of success, help their child through that issue. But just that issue shows that we need to be on social media as a church, and we need to see that there is a real community that affects real things like personal dietary and nutritional needs can be affected. And that's, of course, also with the spiritual needs as well, as you've updated so many times on Nolan's. You've been very generous sharing that and hearing God's people pray for Nolan and interact along the way.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I want to dig down just a little bit deeper here on the virtual side of things. So if we were going to Facebook post, which we do, but how frequently do we need to do it? And is there any guidance on what kind of content we should put out there?
So, I mean, me personally, I maybe get annoyed if there's too many posts from one specific person or outlet, whatever, because I think it's a little bit, obsessive. So, but if you're not posting something, if you go radio silent for a day or two, people might not keep up with you as much. So I think daily, maybe once a day is good. Okay. But the content, I really think a broad mix of things is really where it needs to go. Like I said, sometimes you want to see that lighthearted stuff, but sometimes you need to get down with the nitty-gritty and touch the not so beautiful topics, because I think sometimes social media is used to be this veil of perfection, everything's so great, and life isn't like that. Sometimes it's hard for people to say, hey, I'm having a tough time. I really need guidance with X, Y, or Z. And maybe that one post that you post about difficulty with marriage, relationships, while having kids, maybe there's two people out there that are struggling with that, but they maybe don't know who to go to, or they're embarrassed to go to somebody. So that post that you make, that's the nitty gritty, is helping those two people, because otherwise they wouldn't have, the guidance that they would get from that social media post.
I really like how you put it, go radio silent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great phrase. And we need to keep that in mind. That's how it feels, though. If you have someone in your social network who is a contributor in the care of your child and the support of your person, and they don't say anything for long periods of time, it's as if they're ignoring you, and it comes with an emotional effect. It feels like rejection or being ignored.
Abandonment.
Terrible. So once a day is a good feed, that you would stay present, you're present, and then a variety of content. Yes. Don't avoid the serious issues of parenting or marriage or single momhood or there are other topics that are people need to discuss, and you need to be able to have an opinion and defend it and engage, where some might just be for entertainment purposes. And the whole world is not the happy family at Disney on their vacation with all the smiles. There are other things, and the social media can't handle. There's space for all of that.
Absolutely.
So helpful. I'd like to extend our conversation just a few minutes, and then we'll conclude. And that is, you mentioned being a single mom. Appreciate that. And what we're noticing is that we're a church that has a heart for children. And children are in the care of a parent. And it's not 50-50 anymore, right? That many children are in the care of their mom. And how can we as a church help moms? You're not alone. There are lots of moms who are single moms today. And how could we as a church be equipped to assist you, either physical space or the virtual space?
I think like y'all already do, like the parents' night out stuff, I think that is great, offering to take care of our children, because we already know that y'all do so well with that, and allowing parents, whether they're a couple or a single parent, to go out and connect with others, with other adults.
Right.
But also, I don't know if y'all have something like this, but maybe a single moms group where they can meet, every other weekend or one weekend a month and just connect with each other, have, those peers of single moms and be able to talk about stuff that we probably all go through together, but we might think that we are alone in it.
No, that's a great idea. We don't have that, but we certainly have single moms, as we have well over 125 children in our care. Quite a few of those persons come from a single parent family, and we need to be sensitive to that. You've been such a big help, Amber. This has just been great. Really appreciate it. And just say hi to Nolan for me, please.
All right. Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
Take care. Thanks, Amber.